So a few weeks ago, I sprained my ankle. Now, I'm just gonna leave that information with you and let it saute in your brain for a little bit, and I'll come back to it. So the other day, I was talking to my friend, and she was like, "What do you want to do tonight?" And I told her, "I honestly just want to go home and be by myself." Now, she looked at me like I had three eyes in the back of my head, because what teenager would be saying this on a Friday night? Everyone really has this mindset of, let's party, it's Friday, which makes sense because we're young, we're kids, we should be having fun. But I sat there thinking to myself, I just spent every waking hour that past week going from one thing to the next, constantly on the run doing something. I needed to give myself a break because I knew that if I didn't, I would be out with this facial expression the whole night, not enjoying myself. And I realized that sometimes you need to give yourself time to recharge, reboot, and be by yourself. Coming into high school, I didn't know anything about myself except for the fact that I was the definition of an extrovert. I was constantly being told how friendly and outgoing I was, and I would even get people asking me, "Sky, how are you so friendly?" Like they were genuinely confused. I didn't really know what to tell them except it was just who I was. I loved the stupidness of small talk and constantly being around people. But I live a very busy and demanding life, so I never really got a lot of downtime. Even if I did get maybe an hour or two to sit on the couch and just take a break, I never allowed myself to use it. I would literally beg my mom to go to the grocery store because I couldn't handle even like a second of just doing nothing. I correlated downtime with being alone and being alone with being bored. Now, this had a very negative impact on me because it made me realize that I couldn't handle the realness of solitude and the reality of being by myself. I was simply just a people person, but I realized that being a people person led me to become a people pleaser. I craved the validation from others, which is not a good thing. I'm sure a lot of you do too, so keep listening if you do. All of a sudden, a pandemic hits. The entire globe has to quarantine, and everyone needs to stay in their houses by themselves with no interaction to the human society. This was my 14-year-old self's biggest nightmare. What was I gonna do for the next 2 weeks, I thought to myself. How was I going to spend all this time by myself? As quarantine went on and the days went by, I started finding new hobbies to fill my day with. And I started doing things like drawing and playing piano or going on walks or going for a bike ride or dancing. And I actually learned how to spend time by myself and enjoy it. And I remember over quarantine, it was really hot out because it was maybe like May, maybe a year ago from today. And I remember I was like I need to take advantage of this weather because it's so beautiful. So I went for a walk just around my neighborhood. And I remember coming back home and seeing that I was gone for 4 hours. I really don't even know what I could possibly do to be gone for that long, but I guess it shows that I learned how to enjoy spending time by myself. And I started actually having fun with myself. I became comfortable in my own skin, and I realized what I actually wanted and who I was. I didn't let the validation or the judgments or the opinions from other people determine how I felt. I finally had a say in my ideas and my opinions. And I found peace in being by myself. As quarantine started coming to an end, I watched myself carry out more introverted qualities, and it changed my outlook on life. I no longer needed to be around people constantly, and I was comfortable in solitude. I was comfortable being by myself, and I actually enjoyed it. I had a voice of my own finally. Arnie Kozak, a psychotherapist and clinical assistant professor at the University of Vermont College of Medicine, says that there are two reasons why people avoid spending time alone. One being that solitude is misconstrued as loneliness, and the second being that people lack knowing what to do with themselves when they are alone, and they don't consider it a priority. And I know these words are true because my entire life I had the exact mindset. I misconstrued solitude as loneliness, and I did this because I didn't know how to spend that time by myself. I didn't know what to do with myself. But it is human nature to avoid solitude. People in our society depict alone time as a negative thing and see it as isolation or even boredom. But Blaise Pascal once said, "All man's miseries derive from not being able to sit quietly in a room alone." If you come to terms with yourself, you will find that solitude is a beautiful thing. Spending time without any outside influence will improve your creativity and boost your confidence. You begin to understand yourself and appreciate who you are. It also regulates your emotions by allowing you to spend time with yourself and your thoughts, and give yourself time to think about what you really want and how you really feel. Allowing yourself to spend time alone with your own thoughts and discover your true identity and your own voice without any judgment or interruptions from outside opinions will help your brain recharge with no pressure or stress. Being around people can definitely drain my energy, and it's important for me to realize that sometimes I just need a break away from the human society. There's nothing wrong about it, and I realized that I can't be ashamed of something like that because it is completely normal to take a break from reality. Now, remember in the very beginning, I told you guys that I sprained my ankle. Now, that might seem a little irrelevant at this point on in the video, but trust me, it's not. So a few weeks ago, I was in a lacrosse game, and I sprained my ankle. This wasn't the first time I've sprained my ankle. I've literally sprained my ankle like maybe 6 different times, so I knew the drill. But I was talking with the trainer, and he was just telling me how if you continue to play on this sprained ankle, it's just going to get worse and worse. And when you don't give your foot a break from the stress and pressure of constantly being on it, then it's not going to get better. And I realized that this is exactly how our lives are, in the time in our lives. If we do not give ourselves a break from our busy lifestyle, we're going to tear and eventually get to our breaking point. Just like my foot, if I continue to play on my injured foot, I would eventually break it and possibly have lifelong injuries to it. So it is important that we realize that our time on life is very valuable, and we can't overdo ourselves. We can't overwork ourselves and do everything at once. We honestly cannot have everything, and that's okay. That's what we need to accept. When you spend time alone, you quiet your mind and awaken your heart. You will find the true version of yourself. My name is Sky Nagashima, and I'm here to tell you why spending time alone is something that we need to remember is essential in our lives. I know that you guys want the inner peace and satisfaction that this man right here has. And you can do that by starting with yourself and starting with giving yourself time by yourself. Thank you so much.